Oh, what a great conversation today with Liyea. She is just a remarkable very young, 22-year-old woman who is just out there building community, raising a beautiful child. And while she builds her career as a real estate agent in the Sacramento area, also just going beyond. It's not just about money and making a living. It's about building community. It's about supporting women. She's doing some amazing work.
Yeah. And, talk about modeling as a mother. I mean, single mom, trying to have a career, and she does these funny stories about taking her little one while she's selling real estate, and they're both working together, they're doing the deal. So she's out there doing it, meanwhile understanding that community and connection are the most cherished things that we have on the planet Earth. So tune in for that one.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DeMano. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. We are so glad you're joining us today, and we're excited today to be speaking with Liyea Carpenter. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. She is 22 years young, and a time that many say is meant for being wild and free. And she is wild and free, but she's also driven, ambitious, and grounded by real responsibilities. She's a proud mother to one incredible little boy, and I saw him in her pictures. He's adorable. He is her world, her why. Beyond motherhood, she's a beautifully brown, bold, fearless commercial real estate professional. She's making moves, making her mark, and enjoying every moment of this journey called life. She's here to live boldly, work hard, and create lasting impact, all while staying true to herself. And that all sounds amazing. So thank you so much for being here, Liyea.
No problem. Thank you so much, Debbie and Marci, for having me. I'm really excited to just, emerge in the conversation with the two of you.
Wow. So this has been sort of an interesting journey for Marci and I. So just last week, if you guys were tuning in, we were talking with an old friend of ours, and she made the introduction to Liyea, and as well as probably 10 other people that you're soon going to be hearing on our podcast. So we're
We love
super grateful for this conversation. But we've just had an intro with Liyea for about the last 5 minutes, and I'm feeling completely inspired. Like 22, I have a 22-year-old, and she doesn't talk anything like you. I'm just being straight up right here.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's let everyone else get to know you a little bit about your story, about how you came to be this beautiful woman, mother, and so wild beyond, or not wild.
Yes,
smart
and intentional
beyond her
at
years.
such a young age.
Yes. Wild is something you like. That's my daughter. Yes.
Keep a little wild in there, right?
She's a little wild.
Wild is technically what I'm supposed to be at this age, but luckily for me, I think I had my wake up call quite early in life. Like, okay, the sooner you get started, the more you can do, and I could probably kick back to the age of 32 and be like, wow, okay, what's the next task? Because, I've already gotten through A through H, and it's like, all right, let's finish this alphabet off. That's the way I like to look at it. Yeah.
So you described that you've moved around a little bit. So tell us about your movement and how that has inspired you to do the work that you do.
Of course. So the journey really begins with me being born in Chicago. Love the city. When you go to Chicago, you see the bright and beautiful lights, and you're honestly just happy to be there. When we were living in Chicago, we stayed in the south side of Chicago, and it's kind of notorious for crime and not being a safe space. So my mom's goal was to put us in a better situation with what little she had, you know? And that was how we ended up in Mississippi for quite some time. It was actually after Hurricane Katrina. We had approved for some assistance and we moved there. And I recall very vaguely eating out of like these army bags, you know, for food. It's like just so
the
you
MREs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
delicious, right?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And we were doing that for quite some time. It was a very, very small community, and it honestly felt like you were put in some type of like time. What is it? A time machine, and you were just
Time
thrown.
warp.
Because, yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, people are still like this. But I learned community with the people of Mississippi because we were so close knit, and you know, if we wanted candy, we were buying it from our next door neighbor's house because she had a little candy shop. I learned the importance of being able to rely on other people outside of your immediate family. Once we kind of wrapped up with Mississippi, there was some time where we were back and forth between Chicago and Minnesota, and that's when I started to see like the major difference of living. My Minnesota life was what we needed, you know, that stability, that safe neighborhood, a good education. But when we had to move back to Chicago due to some family issues, I remember waking up and watching someone break a window to a car to take something. And that was just normal. Now, it didn't click until I got older that, okay, this is actually messing with your mental, you know, what you're surrounded by is mental, and you want more, and you've never been shown how to get more. So what are you going to do, you know? And how are you going to change your reality? My father unfortunately just passed away not too long ago, and my mother has always like done things on her own, and I just know that we deserved everything and more. Now, when I was approaching my end of my high school year, I realized that, you know, I wasn't one of the students who were writing letters to colleges and, you know, getting accepted in spaces, but I knew I wanted to be successful. So that's when I started learning more about trades. And so real estate, it was just the luck of the draw, actually, because this gentleman came by at a Starbucks. I was working at Starbucks. He came by and he's driving my favorite car. And I'm like, what do you do to get this car? And he told me, he says, well, honey, I'm in real estate. I'm like, well, what is that? Oh, well, he sums it up. I could sell houses, you know, I get this big check. And I'm like, oh, well, I can do that.
I'm all in.
No problem. Now, I have a few siblings, and my oldest sister, she was living in Sacramento, California after she got done serving in the military. Her and I made a pact. I said, hey, let me live with you for the first year. I'm going to go to my classes, get my real estate license, work a job, you know, and just establish myself here. Just let me stay with you. I got here, did exactly what I said. And once I was thrown out there with the wolves, I realized, okay, it's more than just selling houses. I had sold my car before moving here. So everywhere in Sacramento where I needed to go, I had to get on a bike. And that's when I started to see the city for what it was. I would see you know, people sleeping on the streets. And if not the streets, I would see, you know, like there was like a road that separated me from what people call the hood to the more desirable part of Sacramento. So I was just like, wow, it's bigger than just selling houses. It's about one, putting people in houses, and then two, giving them the environment that I had in Burnsville instead of keeping them with that South Side Chicago environment that they do have. Does something to the mentality. And that's when I realized community work. Now that's a long answer to your question, but
yes, it was fascinating. It was really interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is that mindset thing that you have? Like, was that inspired by your mother? I feel like this day and age, mindset is everything, right? Especially with like all the crazy things that are going on in the world. Like, you could have made a choice to just stay in South Side of Chicago, right?
Or not made a choice to leave, even, because sometimes it's the lack of a choice. It's that lack of for you to have the presence to ask, to see that car and say, hey, what do you do? How did you get that thing that I want? Because most people probably wouldn't ask that question.
Yeah,
Yes.
instead just be like,
mindset.
assume. Most of us would assume. And I honestly, my willpower to want more probably came from, yes, my mother and watching my oldest sibling. She was so motivational. I mean, every time I had an opportunity to write an assignment about somebody, I always chose my sister. I think she was dealt some pretty intense cards at such a young age that watching her be able to blossom and still like charge forward and make things happen told me that I can do the same thing too. You
That's
know,
amazing.
for the longest, she was raising us like she was our children because our mother was working so hard that by the time I turned 18, I had to separate. This is your sister. This is not second mom. Okay.
Your mother.
Yes.
How old is your sister?
We have a 7-year gap. So she's 29 now, but she's
Oh,
fairly
okay.
young herself.
And is this the sister who's in Sacramento that you came to live with and who was in the military?
Yes, and now she just graduated from San Francisco University with her bachelor's, and this girl is like a
Congratulations to her.
powerhouse. She's a powerhouse. So
Wow.
she's the one who told me, like, I had tangible evidence that I could amount to anything that I wanted to as long as I tried.
Yes, that what you just said there, that is so important and so true. Kids need to see, they need to see themselves reflected. They need to see the possibility. So seeing your sister doing it, like that just opens up the world for you because it could be very different if someone doesn't have those role models. So for you to have someone and for her to take the interest to say to you, you can do what you want to do and help you to believe in yourself, that's just huge. It's so important.
Well, Marci and I talk about this modeling thing a lot, actually, because we're warrior parents, right? And we have lots of parents trying to model for their kids to be different in the world. But imagine what you're doing right now for your own child, right? You're showing him that mom is worthy of this and that he is worthy of a bigger life, right? Like that's amazing.
Yes, I agree with you. When I had the opportunity to be blessed of being a mother, I was so like, well, thrilled. You know, I'm holding this precious little boy in my hands. And I remember the day we finally got discharged from the hospital. The lady was pushing me in my wheelchair. You know, they don't let you walk out. I was like, wow, I'm going to be a mom, you know, and until he grows up, until he's 18. And then she says, oh no, you'll be a mom forever. And then
So true.
Yes.
and I was like, whoa, and it just settled in. I'm like, oh my God, I just committed to the longest like relationship of
You
my
sure
life.
did.
You know? and then I was like, wow, now something that was so beautiful and sweet had just showed me, oh, this world is cruel, and I just thrown this baby into it, and now I have to feel like I personally feel I'm part of creating the solution to make this world safer
There you
for
go.
him, but also the other children, you know?
Yes. That's the warrior parent right there. We are warriors for our kids and for all kids, for the next generation. That's our job.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about, I can't remember where I was reading this, but we were talking about mindset, but actually what happens to a woman's body and her brain and her mind as a result of having a child. There are all these changes that happen to a woman during that time. No different than Marci and I, we're doing menopause right now. So we got some other changes going on right now.
That's a whole nother story.
Which are very different from yours, but I think it's true. Like I think this concept
changes everything.
Yeah, of you wanting to do and be in a world and serving community is probably a result of your becoming a mom, just like you just said, right?
Definitely
Like,
amplified it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So talk about that. How does that manifest in your life? How do you show up to create community, to foster community in your family, in your community?
And I'd love to answer your question. I do want to say this. When you mentioned that our mind changes after having a child, I read something where it says it takes a woman 7 years to really get back to her her original state after birthing, you know, a baby. So
yes.
What I find so fascinating about us women, being that I consider us extraterrestrial beings, is that, you know, as we're going through all of these mental and physical changes, we're still able to show up. And as I was kind of surfing through, you know, like being a mom and figuring things out, I realized that I could not raise my child just by myself. You know, I needed assistance. You know, my mother moved from Florida because she understood that her child is going to need more than just herself. So as I was kind of like going through these changes and reaching out for resources, I realized how much my community helped me. I needed simple things to start,
Yes.
like diapers and wipes. Without having that, my son couldn't have just his essentials. And once they were able to show up for me and I finally got things together, I only wanted to show up for them. So I create spaces for people who need a little more guidance, or who need more community, who need to have like-minded people. And some of those spaces, I can tell you two of the things that I've most recently been working on. One is called Wine, Women, and Women. And this space is for women in business. It's not just for women to come to, it's any supporter of women in business. And what we do is we spotlight two businesses every month. And Desiree was actually just our last spotlight, and give them 20 minutes to talk about their journey. You know, what's the perks of working with them? What's their wine? What's their acts? Then once we're wrapping up with our two business spotlights, we then have US Bank come in, and they speak to them about business banking and, you know, how you shouldn't commingle your funds, some of the basics, and answering any questions.
Yeah.
Then the resources come in, you know, and some of these women who are sitting amongst the crowd are inspired, or they have now just found some like new solution. The person sitting next to them actually is someone that they've been looking for and needing.
Yes.
And it's really just so beautiful, because my favorite part of the event is watching everyone connect, you know?
Yes.
And it's so beautiful. That's one of the spaces. And my next one is called Buying Back the Block. We understand that there are disadvantages in some communities. And what I've been doing is knocking at their door to invite them out, not only to talk about how we can regain our financial power, but how we implement that into our community. You know, we speak of the general plans that the city has, you know, some of the groups that we created so we can thrive and move forward together. And that's how I show up for my community. I'm going to teach them what it is that I know. Now that I've got it together and, you know, I have my support, this is what I can give to you.
Wow. Wow. That's, you know,
Amazing.
that is so beautiful. I mean, I feel like so much of, you know, I've traveled around the world a fair amount, and so in so many places, you know, Indonesia or other cultures, like they are so much about community and family, right? Like they all live together, they support each other, they help raise the children, they, you know, we say it takes a village, but you know, most of the time here in the United States, everyone just goes home and locks their door and fends for themselves, right? But this idea of community for some people here in the US, I feel it seems foreign to them. Like, well, I shouldn't ask, or I don't know them, or I don't trust them, or there's all these things. But you know, for you to be so young and beautiful and inspiring for people, like who doesn't want to show up and be a part of your community, right?
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Cour Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can sign up for it now, and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Cour Tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
lifetime.
Right. That's
Buy it once, and we'll keep updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Cour Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
You know what? That's my advantage. I have to say. That's definitely an advantage. And one thing I always ask before I knock on their door is why. So one area that I'm focusing on right now is the Del Paso Heights community. Why is it that they're so closed off?
Yeah.
Like what's made them this way? Once I then understood their history and what seems like they kind of were like exiles, like that dirty child, you know, that stepchild that we don't speak of. It's like, okay, now when I come to them, look, I understand what you've been through, but I'm going to show you how to get over it. You know, and I don't believe in throwing in the towel. I was having a conversation with this gentleman the other day. There was some unkind words that were spray painted on a building, and we just had to assume that it was adolescents, just running wild. And he was like, there's just nothing we can do about it. And I'm like, oh, I believe you can. I'm like, okay, so if it was boys who spray painted the building and you want them to change, as you should get a group of men who are like just emotionally available there, and I invite these young boys out to go and play football, do the old versus the new, and who wins, and then for the girls, if it was a group of girls who did it, come to them and invite them to, hey, we're going to be baking a pie and you get to take a pie home if you come and do this, and it's free. Give them better places to be, and better things to do, because so many of us haven't seen it. We're so used to just this getting the last piece of cake is what it feels like,
Right. The Black mentality of if I don't get mine, then I'll be left out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. And I think a lot of people, they don't know how to create the community. So for you to kind of come in and help, and anyone who's out there are groups like this, like what you're talking about for various things. Business maybe is not your thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it's more of a, I don't know, it could be something about gardening. It could be something about sports. It could be something about working with kids, cleaning up, whatever. You can find these different groups and join something, and it may work for you. It may not. I think of my mom who moved to Manhattan Beach when she was a young mother. So they're new to this town, and there was a welcome wagon back then. This was a thing they used to do. Yeah, this was a thing they used to do. And so someone would show up at your door and say, hey, welcome. And they might bring you some things or some coupons or whatever. The two women who showed up at her door became lifelong friends. My mom is now about to turn 85. So I guess it's probably 55 years later, she is still friends with these women. Like, they are part of her family. So you just never know.
Does the welcome wagon still exist? I don't know. Have you heard of it?
I have not heard of a welcome wagon in a long time.
No one came to my house with a welcome wagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to bring welcome wagons back.
I know.
Yes. So bake something and just come over and say hello.
Yes,
So
we've done that.
Yes.
We've done that. Yeah. Welcome someone to a neighborhood. Actually, when my next door neighbor moved in a couple of years ago, young couple, and they came from Sacramento, they took bottles of wine to all the neighborhoods and neighbors with their information, and they introduced themselves. And I was like, I think we're supposed to be doing this for you, but they got to know everyone right away, because there's other people in the neighborhood I may not have met, but immediately. So it's important, and especially during these kind of challenging times, we need community. We need each other. We need to know that, oh gosh, I don't have diapers, or I ran out of whatever and I can't get to it right now, or I need medical help, or I need to get to the doctor. Like, we can rely on each other when we start to build that community, and it's better for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I have a question for you. So, like, I'm imagining, like, I'm having this conversation with a much older woman, and she has this career and she does this community service. How in the world do you balance being a mother and doing all these other things? I'm feeling so inspired. Like, how do you do that? How do you
Your son's too, right?
take care of yourself?
He's two. He's two.
They need a lot.
I just implement him. I had to, my first year, well, honestly, first 2 years, because I didn't recently start receiving help from like preschool up until last month. My first 2 years with my baby, he was tied to my hip at, like, wrapped him around my back. Let's go show a house. If we're having them,
he's selling real estate.
Oh, he is. He can sell you real estate right now. He was everywhere I went.
That's fantastic.
Because one, there wasn't a lot of people. My mother was still working, so it wasn't like I could just like, hey, watch the baby. I just had to get up and do it with him. So sometimes people they see me and they're like, where's your shadow? Because they know that my baby was just always with me. But it was never an excuse, because I can't afford to wait. So he's just there. He's there.
Well, and that bonding that you have with him is going to be invaluable. Like, more and more studies are showing that wearing babies, having, like, it's so regulating for them, emotionally regulating for them, for you.
Yeah.
So, you did extra good for him, and also probably for yourself. And you just show, like, this is how women used to do it, right? They did their stuff in and the babies were with them. And so why can't you, if women are carrying water and, doing all the other things, why can't you sell real estate with a baby?
And people make it so awkward when a child's involved. There's a time and place, don't get me wrong, but they act like this isn't the next future that they're staring at, or that, they don't have children, or like this is just another human, and that's all it is. I'm trying to break the narrative that, oh, it's unprofessional to have children, but when children are literally our next future. So I teach him, I try and keep it as professional as possible. And if necessary, I'll get some like assistance, but it's okay. Babies are okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That is brilliant.
That's beautiful. It's sort of like, puppies, like, you hear guys carrying puppies around because it's a babe magnet, but I think you got a little real estate magnet there.
Like me close a few transactions. Let me tell you that.
Let me tell you that as a woman whose kids are out and grown, but they haven't had babies yet, I am attracted to babies. So if there's a realtor with a baby, I'm going to be like, I'm going to work with her. Maybe I'm going to get a hold of that baby for a minute.
Yeah.
It's, oh my gosh, they just give you so much dopamine. That's what it is.
Exactly.
My son has like big eyes. He looks like a dog. I used to dress him up in these bear costumes, and if he just sit still enough, people wouldn't even think he was a real baby.
That's great.
Oh my goodness. So I know Marci had some question about you, some community work, and it involved the Black Panthers.
Some of the original Black Panthers, because I had seen that picture on your Instagram. So you talk a little bit about that. I find that so interesting.
Oh yeah. So you know what? I'll just take you back to it. Mama C was a well-known activist, a part of the Black Panthers during that era. And her and her husband were exiled and currently live in Tanzania. So they've created this space for children without their parents. And they built out this community where they raise them and take care of them. And she was coming here on a book tour to talk about her journey and, her life. I was telling her how I've been following her story for quite some time. And I'm just overall thrilled to be around her. And the first thing she said, well, it wasn't her, it was actually her best friend. She just, I don't know, she saw something and she says, I want you to come to my house and have dinner with us, So I go to her house, and me not really expecting for all of these people to be there, I go in, I bring a present, and that's when I meet all of the Black Panthers. And I'm asking them about their stories and, what do they feel we could do now to get just as organized as they were then? They said, well, you probably don't have as much time on your hands as we did. You get so overconsumed by your day-to-day life that, we would do this and what you guys call free time now. Our free time was spent creating plans to change our lives. And I said, okay. So I really just sat there and got their advice, met amazing people. And we still keep in touch to this day.
Wow.
That's amazing. What an opportunity.
Yeah. So they were very influential in exactly what you're doing right now. You're not organized to have I don't know how many people were in the Black Panthers, but you're doing it. You're essentially doing that same work, right?
It's beautiful. I like to think so. It's like the updated version of what they did before. Yeah. And I can seek their advice. Let me tell you, they know how to have fun. Not only do I get their advice, but if I need someone to dance with, they know how to dance.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like hanging out with them. Sometimes my younger friends, they're like, girl, you like hanging out with the older folks. I'll go karaoke with them. I don't care. I had one lady pull me aside and said, are you their caregiver? I said,
hell no.
No, these are my friends.
That's awesome. And it was so smart what they were doing, how they were building community, how they were caring for children, for families. And it's exactly what we need today. We need to take care of each other and build community. And they were so intentional about that, making sure people had food, because this is kind of the thing we're talking about, them saying you don't have the time now because you're working so hard. And we know the price that we pay for housing is so out of sync from where, it used to be, where, what you made and what you had to spend was at least, in a more equitable place. And now housing just keeps going up, but the income for a lot of people doesn't. And so then that puts you in this space of grinding and trying, and a lot of people are living on the edge, like you talked about. You saw the homelessness. You see people who all of their energy is put into surviving. And when that's happening, you don't have energy to create community and to take care of each other and to build beauty and to build fun and to dance. And that's what we want. Like, this is what we're here for, is a beautiful life, and not to be just surviving, but thriving. And that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Like, where are we, and what are we creating in this country, in our communities? So they were so present with that. They were so ahead of their time in understanding that if people need a place to live, they need a safe space to land, they need food, their kids need to be safe and cared for, and they have a future. And then now you're opened up. What are the possibilities that I can do with my brilliance? Yeah.
Wow. I could have this conversation for the rest of the afternoon.
Very uplifting. I
I'm
love
enjoying
that.
myself so much, but unfortunately we're out of time. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I know a lot of people are going to be inspired by who you are and what you're doing. So thank you.
Sorry, I had to mute myself because of all the chaotic noise happening on the street.
That's okay.
Garbage day. But genuinely, I'm so grateful to honestly be able to sit here and share my story. It's always such a blessing to allow people to just know what makes me me. Yep. So thank you so much for listening, for giving me the platform to speak about it. You two are amazing women that I do hope to keep in contact with.
Yes,
so
for
please,
sure.
So please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you, Debbie and Marci.
Right.
Thank you, Liyea. And can you share how people can find you? So I see you're doing commercial real estate now. Are you still working with people just looking for a home, or is it more just that commercial real estate?
My primary focus has been commercial real estate. Do I still do residential transactions? Yes.
Yes,
I'm actually part of a program called the Culture. Are you guys familiar with the Culture program? Oh, they're an amazing organization, but they help the underserved community obtain homes. So that aligns with my.
I love that.
So, I work with their Keeper program, and so the best way to find me is my first name. There's no one else with my first name, so if you search me up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, I will pop up, which is Liyea. Last name is Carpenter, like the occupation. So that's the best way to find me. And I am commercial focused, but I do dabble in residential.
That's wonderful. Well, you're not carrying the baby with you, but maybe if people want to buy a house from you, they could maybe meet him still.
They'll get baby hugs. That's the incentive here. Baby hugs, kisses.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liyea. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you. Hey, warrior moms. As we started this podcast, we had determined that part of what we were going to do is to create a community. So we have decided to take it to another level, and we have started our own Facebook community in addition to the Warrior Parent podcast, and it's called
From Chaos to Calm, a sanctuary for moms. Here's what it looks like. It's on Facebook right now. Please go and join it. And just to let you know, we're gonna create our Blue Sky accounts right now. We're getting prepared as we watch this weird stuff go on in America. So we may be shifting the whole group to Blue Sky. Just be aware that we got you. You're gonna start here. If this turns out to be not a safe place anymore on Facebook, then we will shift over. But what we're creating is a safe space where moms can show up and get information, get support, talk to each other about the things you're going through with your kids, the things you went through with your kids, maybe get some advice from moms, but also other experts. We're going to invite all of our guests and experts to join the group. I hope you will too. This is a place where you can show up and be seen and be heard and be safe. Mom's got you.
Nobody trusts anyone more than moms. So let's do this.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters.
Today's affirmation encourages you to look at things a different way. Something better is unfolding right now for the world. Let's say it aloud together. Something better is unfolding right now for the world. Something better is unfolding right now for the world. This is true.
Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Cour Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DeMano.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.